Hi there people, I know I may have some American watchers. I want to talk to you about some very important truth that will be written off as heresy. 1 minute. Don't want you looking inside my cupboards. Okay, yeah, heresy. Right, I'm going to be back in 1 second. Oh, thank you. Right, well, I'll carry on. Okay, I'll try and make it short and sweet. The horror of it. The realisation for me as a royalist previously, semi-royalist, what has happened within our within the pinnacle of our institutions here, it's got to be where it resonates. A fish rots from its head. Now it's taken me a long time to take this on board. It took me a long time to take many things on board, you know, like the Twin Towers, you know, all sorts of things people say. I just digest them for ages. Okay, there's lots of talk about the Queen on a trip where children didn't return. Now I remain open on that, but then again I know how paedophilia drags people in, and if they're a little bit in, they tend to defend because they're a little bit in. Now you're more than a little bit in with the Queen and her entourage, more than a little bit in. You're very in. Now these dark forces that she claims to know nothing about could well have been the reason for Diana's death. When you look at George Smith, paid to be detained at the Priory, fearing for his death. The trial of the missing tape to do with what he saw with Charles, to do with the rapist, disappeared. The Queen halted the trial. Now this is all highly strange stuff, but there's so much strange stuff with the royal family, it gets really diabolical. Now I would say it's hugely diabolical. Now I mean, you could call me, I could be committing treason right now. My days could be numbered. But yeah, it's horrific. Okay, you look at Prince Charles' relationship to Jimmy Savile, and having Jimmy Savile as a marriage counsellor to both Diana and Fergie. Now that's just not normal. Fergie had a payoff from Epstein. That's another not normal. You're talking about a letter also from Charles thanking Savile's girls up in Scotland. That's another not normal. Okay. All these connections pointing the same way. It would lead anyone to think that there's a conspiracy, and of course the CSA inquiry will not look there. How could they? I mean, where's Ghislaine? Another mystery. Now there's just too many mysteries and intrigue to do with sex abuse in the royal family. Mother of all perverts and prostitutes is a prophetic thing for the global end times, the global times of end of Christianity. Okay, made all nations drunk. Even the choice, even when they talked about Diana being killed because of being with a Muslim and all this other stuff, she may have been pregnant. No, I mean, it's nonsense. It's to do with sex abuse scandals. You know, the Beryl trial ended by the Queen because of the tape, the missing tape that she took in the Priory of George Smith and his testimony about the rape scene in the palace, and you know, and Charles being in bed with one of the accused. Now they're very much in bed with it. It's horrific. My experience of cover-up has mirrored this, as have many of our citizens. And what kind of a queen, what kind of a monarch, what kind of a patriarchal matriarch would allow that kind of deterioration of her nation? Well, she isn't. She's the Queen of Faiths now. She's become a globalist, as is, again, it's almost just too prophetic for our times. When you read the book of Revelations, I think it's 12:8, or it talks about Babylon's payback. Babylon says, I sit as queen, I am not a widow, I will never know mourning. A regal sort of personage connected to elites globally now. I mean, even the you know, the choosing and acceptance of Meghan was just a global thing that they wish to be celebrated for being global these days, and they could have chosen her like a horse, like a prime horse, the same way they chose Diana, except it was in reverse because of their own protection issues. This is the way they want to protect themselves, by appeasing, you know, globalist aims and basically abandoning and prostituting their own nation. I mean, really, the days of being rescued by a handsome prince and a white knight are well and truly over. These people have embraced the sins of our time to the point where you think they're almost steering them. But again, it says in the prophecy, the beast that is ridden by Babylon, who made all nations drunk, is consumed by the beast, by the red beast, which is globalization, which is like a communist globalization, which they think they can steer, because, you know, they would just want to make sure that they survive, really. So they'll use any mechanism that's large that they can fit in with globally or whatever to sustain their position. Yeah, I think it's horrific. There have been too many deaths and too many sinister things surrounding the royal family to do with sex abuse, knighting of paedophiles. But I mean, you just look at the marriage counsellor of Diana and Fergie, Jimmy Savile. I mean, just everybody take a deep breath, have a little think about it. The Queen is doing what anybody would do, which is protect her family. But the Queen, maybe she wasn't schooled in knowing not to appease child rape or to defend and uphold, you know, people from being revealed for their sexual kind of involvements. I mean, maybe this is just a royal thing. It's been like that maybe throughout the centuries, but this time it's taken a lot of prisoners, and this time we're swimming in a global goldfish bowl, if you like, where we don't have any of the natural protections left in society. Patriarchy, matriarchy, you know, care and concern for one another. So you've set us adrift in a limitless void where we can't find justice, where we can't find our place. I have to denounce that person sitting on the throne as my queen now. I denounce it because I see it as diabolical. And if you choose to join me, that's your choice. You can read the prophecies about Babylon the Great sitting as queen, mother of perverts, and the payback, and come out of her. And it says the payback. This is the kind of the death throes of a civilization, and the death throes of a civilization to do with debauchery, as always, an ending empire. We've been defeated, and no, our monarchs and anybody we look up to have been corrupted by their associations with people like Ghislaine, who, as I said, where is she? Epstein, Weinstein in Hollywood. The list is endless. You don't need to hear it from me. You can add 2 and 2 together for yourselves. We've been set adrift. All we have now is the remnants of, you know, as is spoken of, the remnants of our identity and our being and our sense of what we can sustain ourselves with, because we can't look up to an establishment that has become that corrupted.